Oh, great.
And Batman has been a roller coaster ride. Like, it was hard for me to even hear. Well, first off, let's just say Gray and I are diehard Batman people. Like, that was like part of our core when we were young. Just the 90s, 80s, and 90s stuff. It's just, there's fantastic stuff in there, amazing creators. It just shaped our love of comic books and collecting. So, over the years, when now we have more Robins than I can count, Robins that become other characters that I can barely keep track of who's who. You have, you know, a naked panel. You have a possible marriage to Catwoman. You have just gimmick after gimmick and all sorts of shenanigans. It's like we just don't tell decent stories. And you're like, well, no, Chip Zdarsky's taking over. He did a good run on Daredevil. You should give it a shot. Did a good video. I'm like, crap. Gray's making me want to think about reading this. So I was like, okay, maybe. Let me see. Bifer's here. Hey, Bifer. Thanks.
Hey.
Good morning. Hey there, my friend. Yes. New Batman and Superman. Well, okay. Well, we'll see. I think you're talking movie stuff. We're
Which
sticking
one's
with
which? Is it me? Am I Batman, or is that you, Pops?
um, I would probably not make a great Superman. I don't know. I do love the idea of being Superman. There's just something ominous about that. Well, we're going to derail that conversation. Let's do that. Have you ever thought about that? Like, I actually had this thought. My wife was teasing me for about a week and a half or so. I kept having these thoughts. Like, if you were Superman, like I thought about writing a comic book story, like Superman's powers for a day. You don't have to just like call it Superman. You're just like, powers for the day. Like, you were stuck. You woke up and suddenly you have these powers. First off, you'd have to know that you had those powers. So you'd have to test some of it out. But it's like, it becomes so limitless. It's almost overwhelming. You almost feel like, what could you do? You could do anything. Like, there's so many things to do. I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin. So then, of course, she was like, "This is like how nerds' brains work." I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of how we work. When we're kids, we do this all the time because we pretend to be these characters. So as an adult, when you have a little bit more maturity and thought to it all, you start thinking about, yeah, but my life is so small and insignificant to what Superman could do in just a few moments. It's crazy." So, anyway, back to Batman. We got to stay on the story. Batman. Anyway, so he says, all right, give Chip Zdarsky. Now, first off, everyone needs to know, too, that Chip Zdarsky has blocked me on Twitter for no reason at all. Like, I just don't like the people that he thinks I should like. I don't know why. I don't know. Okay, fair enough. Not off to a good start with this creative team. But I jumped in, and I will say, spoilers abound. What I did like was the fact that Chip Zdarsky seemed like he was, in a very positive way, tying some stuff to old comic books. So the story kind of begins with Batman 125, right?
That's right.
And let me go back into here. I will admit the story was fine. It wasn't really till the next issue that I really was engaged. So he writes two different stories in the same book, which is really what the weirdest thing for me was. I had to get used to the idea of we're going to have a Batman story first, and then we're going to have a Catwoman story. And I thought he didn't write. I thought I actually kind of went back and looked again, like making sure I got. So he's writing two different. Now, admittedly, he pulls things together, folks, which actually was very, very good. What is it about his writing that you think is appealing? What is it about it for you works for you? Before I get too further into this, I guess.
Okay, well, I dropped out of Batman. I thought it had gone pretty boring with, first of all, after Tom King, then it was James Tynion, and then Joshua Williams was doing it for a bit. Just lost me. It just got dull and seemed to be, stretching out stories forever, Pops. But when I heard Chip was going to be writing it, I was really enjoyed his run on Daredevil recently. That was a great run, I thought, and I'd seen some of his work on Spectacular Spider-Man, which was good too. So I thought to give it a shot. And as you say, the first issue, there's a lot of setup. It's setting things up. But from his second issue, so we're talking 126, from then on, it just goes all-out action. But not only that, it's not just about the action. The writing is really good. The characters sound like the characters. The voices are there. I think he's got a good line on how people sound in the Batman universe.
Yeah, I think Batman 125 would be a good place for everyone to jump in if you wanted to, because and I'll say this: we're only a couple issues in, so like if you don't like it in a couple issues, listen, don't blame us. But I will admit, and I agree with him. Chip does a good job of saying, all right, here's this little story. We have some dream sequences that should make you wonder what this is about. You have some flashback stuff to some other things that should make you, and again, they're actually footnoted properly, right? There's a reference to the classic Tower of Babel story from JLA that Grant Morrison wrote. And it's a key thing. He introduces this new character, and it is interesting. And I will say that because there's a couple other reasons that they do different things. And when they introduce all of the secondary characters, like you're saying, Gray, like because you have Nightwing and Robins, and you have Duke Thomas, and you have so you have all these different characters. They do a good job. They did a great job, actually. I'm gonna go. He did a great job of handling. Because this is one of my big turnoffs to the Bat universe. It gets so complicated. Everyone's just trying to do something to get headlines and sales and news. It's like, just write good stories. And maybe it's by accident that he pulled this off. Because I will say that I really did enjoy it. I really did. And I will say I really enjoyed 126 more than 125. 125, I thought, what are you kind of going for here? And then I felt like there was like a cheap death kind of like set up in it, and then I realized, oh wait, there's more. He's not done yet, and I thought that's fine. That's kind of what I wanted to see. Was I was going to share more with you folks, but I cannot for the life of me figure out the desktop navigation compared to the app. The phone app actually is pretty easy to work with anyway. And again, spoilers are abound. So if you don't want spoilers,
Pops, how is that? Can I ask you, what's the DC Universe, the comic app like? Because we can't actually get that in Japan. I can get the Marvel one, but I can't get the DC one.
I'm still learning. I've only had it for a few days. One of my viewers heard me comment about the reason I haven't talked as much about DC and whatever. It's only from stuff I actually own or physically, whatever, because I don't have the app. And they send me the money to buy the app. So I have the app for like a year, and been trying it out. I had been covering, or I had written a note to cover that John Kent, son of Kal-El thing that's happened, where it's like, he comes out as gay, and now the Kent's gotten canceled. And so I'm going to do that anyway, because I was like, I was going to cover that story. So I said, I'm going to read this series, because at that point, it's only like going to be 18 issues long anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a video on why it's really getting canceled, because no one cares about the sexuality stuff. That's just so overwrought. It's just literally like politicking, Twitter, crazy people. No one cares. It's getting canceled because it's crap. And my video will give you some examples on why it's crap.
I actually got the first issue of that run, Pops. I got it when it came out, and I reviewed it, and I was kind of kind. It wasn't too bad, but there were things in there which set alarm bells off. It was like, it was supposed to be a story of comic book, heroes, and then you suddenly get an environmental message, quoted by one of the characters
in the middle of a fight scene. Damian and John's kind of standing there because he's impervious to everything. Damian's fighting, and it's like, yeah, I know how you feel. It's like, you're this superpower thing who can change the world, but then there's climate change and racial inequity and all. And you're like,
unnatural. It's just
what the heck? First off,
takes you right out of the story.
And these are supposed to be like kids. Like they're not. They're let's just go late teens, early 20s, right? And it's like, since when are they? Trust me, and that's
so you read the first issue, I take it.
Oh no, I'm on 12 or 15. I'm almost. Are you
going for it, Pops? I can't believe you stuck with it.
Well, I'm going to do a video where I'm going to kind of go through a lot of these different things of why it's gotten canceled, why no one wants to read this comic book. I'm not sure Tom Taylor's ever going to care, but that's not my point. My point is for readers. This is why this is all crap. It's just they're not even telling you a story. They'll have like literally pages of nothing happening, like just nothing happening at all, and just stupid things. And we're supposed to treat these characters because he's a superhero with some sort of respect, without him actually showing me he deserves any respect. When he does stupid things and he says stupid things, I don't treat him like a smart person. Sorry, no. I don't. He barely knows someone and just takes them to the freaking Fortress of Solitude and stuff like that. You're like, oh gosh. So, good morning, Ryan. Ryan Roger Athay is here. Good morning, my friend. And he says he's got his Razer mic. Let's go, buddy. Let's go. It's an upgrade.
Cool. Congratulations.
The machine. And bye for anytime Gray has that pause. and I bring it out to most of our streams together. There's usually a moment or two where Gray's like, yeah,
No.
that was rough. That was rough. Yeah. Anyway, so back to Batman.
Yeah, go for it.
I was trying to get this again. The app is relatively fun to use and easy to navigate through. But when I'm on the desktop, it doesn't. I'm telling you, they're just not the same.
No, they're not. The phone apps are much better. They're always better. Yeah, Comixology and Marvel Unlimited too. Much better on the phones.
So on the phone, I'm gonna pull this up. So this is the Batman 125, and I thought I could just jump right into 126, right? So on the app, when you scroll down right here, they have view the series. And this is in the series, but this is not the same series. This is
that's Rebirth. No way.
Well, that's the early, but that's 100 something issues ago, and there's no way to scroll to the next issue. It's not here. This is the issues 1. I'm like, I don't want to go back to issue 1. I want to go back. I want to go to the next issue, or I want to go to 124. I don't want to go all the way back to 1. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It says add to library, add to list, and share. And then when we were in the comic, which we'll open back up, and because it has a cameo of the character, the villain, this fire safe.
Did they have a delayed release there, Pops? They delay the latest issue for 3 months, like Marvel.
Well, this one, no. This is so there's different tiers in DC. So the tier I have shortens that delay. I think it's to a month, but sometimes they do special stuff. I think it's because they don't sell, but they do special stuff. So I'm on the final page of this part of the story, but then I thought, well, no, it didn't advance because I'm not on the final page of the issue. So I clicked the final page of the issue. So now I'm on the last page, and it says autoplay. Read nothing. There's no way to advance. It doesn't do anything. I hit enter. It won't go to the next issue. But now it did. Okay, I literally hit enter 3 times for it to go to 126. Okay. Maybe I got impatient.
I'm like you. I prefer desktop because I like to read it on a big screen. I'm the same, and I use the terrible Kindle reader now because they killed the Comixology one when they merged with Kindle. It's a real shame. They don't have the guided view anymore. They only have that on the phone app. I miss that. So,
and I want to give credit because Jorge Jimenez's art and bringing the action sequences. This is really, really good stuff.
So good.
I have to give credit where credit is due, and this is so far delivered on story and some elements with some cool twists and some cool turns. It's got some edge to it, and I did not care for the backstory, the whole little Catwoman backstory, until the next issue.
Me neither.
Yeah, no. Wait till you get to the next issue, though. They do finally. He does finally make it worth something. So I have to give him a little credit. I didn't hate it. It would be a good place to jump in if you wanted a new comic to jump in on. It's not woke or weird or agenda driven or purple or yellow or whatever. They don't sit around and talk. They don't sit around and talk about sandwiches for 3 pages, things like that. You just see a very troubled Bruce Batman persona conflict with a great sort of villain that appears, and he has to deal with it and how it all navigates through. And as far as I can tell, pretty sure it wraps up in 127. I don't think in 126 it did. I think it goes to the next issue. So, but I will say, clicking it, it is not the desktop version and the app version. They've got to figure out a way to do something to make that easier to navigate both. The Marvel one's terrible. The desktop Marvel stuff is almost unworkable. Almost, I just
really? I can't. I found it okay.
Oh, the Marvel Unlimited on the desktop.
Yeah, I used to have it. I don't have it at the moment, but when I had it, it was working pretty well. I found the phone version of Marvel wasn't good for some reason.
Oh, I've gotten used to the phone version. And when I get into the right screens on the Marvel Unlimited, you just have to get into it properly because it seems like it constantly wants you into TV and movies and all this stuff. But once you get into comic books and you're reading what you want to read on the desktop, then I think you're fine. But the DC, so again, there's got to be little nuances and things.
It's just getting there. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're right.
But I would say, sum up, Batman 125 is fair. It was fine. It's a good place to jump in. It's a decent little story. The art is fine. There's nothing weird. And I will say, he's done a good job of having literally like the Bat family. Like you have like 6 or 7 characters that are doing different things and all of that. And he did a pretty good job of handling all of that and making them have their own voice and looks and feels and stuff like that. Good morning, Josh. Hey there, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Great to see you join us for a comic book talk here. We went through Amazing Spider-Man, now some Batman stuff and that kind of thing. So